Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. 'Cause I want you.
All right. Je m'appelle Jaime Hepp. Johnny Noir est mon ami. He's mon ami. He's a good man. Since I'm your last speaker, I'm going to start off with some housekeeping, if that's okay. Okay? So I was told when I came here, this used to be the place where Michael Jordan used to come hang out. Do you guys know that? So when the Bulls would play the Raptors, MJ insisted on staying at the Weston Harbor here. So it's got a little bit of a reputation, and I want to make sure that we get invited back to this hotel. Like Johnny said this morning, we can walk across the bridge, we can be loud in the convention center. So let's make sure that we respect the hotel tonight. Let's respect the guests in the hotel. Let's respect the workers in the hotel. Little things like running up and down the hallways or like 10-person little parties in the rooms, that stuff's like no bueno. Last I checked, downtown Toronto is a happening place. So if you want to go release some steam, let's go downtown tonight. Is that fair? Okay, so let's get invited back. So I grew up in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, so Humboldt strong. Some of you guys know exactly what I mean when I say Humboldt strong. It's a town of 5,000 people, at least it was when I was growing up. The biggest benefit of growing up in a town of 5,000 people is everybody knows everybody. The downside of growing up in a town of 5,000 people is everybody knows everybody, okay? So just weird. Everybody knew each other, but you know, the older I get, the more appreciative I am of Saskatchewan. I'm going there next week, and I know that I'm going to get to see the nice, beautiful fields, the nice yellow color. I mean, I never really appreciated it as much growing up. I wanted to kind of get out of there, but going back now, the people are fantastic. I always say when a car's pulled over on the side of the road, I hope it's still the same today. More cars than not will pull over to see if you need any help. Where I live now in Los Angeles, if you're on the side of the road, people beep and swear at you and tell you to get out of the way. And you're like, I'm already having a bad day, and now everybody's beeping at me, you know? I remember all the freedom that I had growing up in Humboldt. I mean, one of my first memories, and maybe I should or should not share this with you guys, but I remember having the freedom. My mom allowed me like out of the house, and we lived on a corner lot, and there was a fire hydrant on the corner lot, and I used to watch the kids driving by on their bikes to go to school, and one day I got so excited, I just pooped my pants. One of my first memories. I think I was 15 years old when that happened. So I was somewhere in the ages of 2, but I remember that. Like my mom would just allow me, like as long as I came in to eat, that was the only prerequisite. But there was no helicopter parenting where I come from. I could be 10 blocks down the street, and my mom wouldn't know, she wouldn't care, and I'd get hungry and I'd go home. Freedom, I had tons of freedom. Entertainment, as a teenager in Humboldt, is we'd go to Family Pizza. I mean, there's not many options. There's no clubs you're going to go to. You go to Family Pizza, we'd grab coffee at Family Pizza, and then we'd take the cruise. Now, the cruise couldn't be more than a mile total, and you got to figure out like a cool way to cruise. You don't want to be dorky on the cruise and wave to everybody. So you got to kind of be like Drake, kind of right. You got to be, hey, what's up? Everybody kind of had their own little hello as you're just passing people on the cruise, and we'd do that for hours and hours. That was our entertainment in Humboldt. I guess I had a pretty good prerequisite before coming into the business. I was a pretty sharp guy. I was a petroleum transfer engineer before joining the business. Those of us back in Humboldt would know that as I used to pump gas for the Shell gas station, okay? I was a petroleum transfer engineer. I say it was a good prerequisite because I didn't realize how good at sales I was because I had a 100% closing ratio of everybody I talked to. So people would pull up, you want some gas? As a matter of fact, I do want some gas. Like nobody rejected me. I was built, for sales. The big picture for me, and it terrified me at times to think, holy cow, like when I get older, I'm going to move to the city. I'm going to move to Saskatoon. And it terrified me. 150,000, oh my goodness, people don't know each other. You got neighbors on the street that you just don't know who they are. And so 150,000 people and maybe become an accountant or some kind of professional. Yet somehow today, I live in Laguna Niguel, California. I'm married to a beautiful wife. I've got 3 beautiful kids. And somehow I'm in charge of leading an army of 50 offices in the United States. And so I only say that, I want to unpackage something. It's like, how did this happen? Okay? Next week when I'm in Saskatchewan, I will have some of my friends ask me, like, how did this happen? You know, and I'm like, how did this happen? I mean, I got a 1-year work permit. I was lucky enough to get a 1-year work permit to go down to the U.S. If things didn't work out, I'd come back to Canada, but somehow this is the life I have. How did this happen to me? So please allow me the opportunity as I close this off with you tonight to share 3 field stories that might give you a little insight to how this happened. Okay? The first one I call the money lesson. Okay? So when John and I started the business, I mean, we weren't representing Bell, we were representing coupons. Okay? So we're selling coupons. Basically, it'd be a campaign. $20 is what the customer would pay, and they would get a bunch of 2-for-1 dinners and stuff like that. Okay, so chances are your parents, somebody knocked on their door. It was probably either John Black or me, and we knocked on their door. We'd sell them this little package. So there was a cash transaction at the door. And so when you start off residentially going through the field, often you'd run into housewives at home alone. And I'd go through the pitch, and I'm like, hey, here's the pitch. And many times I'd hear, oh, hey, the promotion sounds great. Can you come back and talk to my husband? He makes all the financial decisions. I'm like, oh, ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't think I explained this right. You get like $200 worth of stuff as long as you guys eat at this restaurant. And the promotion only costs you $20. She says, I know, but he makes all the financial decisions. Oh. I mean, you'd be surprised how often you would hear that in the field. The other surprising thing, for some reason, I just picture this territory in my mind. BMW in the driveway, beautiful home with a nice kind of wood-looking roof, whatever. Just a nice little neighborhood, nice cul-de-sac. And I'm going through the pitch, and the guy says, yeah, it's great. We go there all the time. He says, you take a post-dated check? I'm like, so you can't write a check for today? He goes, no, it would bounce. But I get paid on Friday. Can I write you a post-dated check to Friday? I'm thinking, you've got a BMW in the drive, you got a $70,000 car in the driveway, and you have less than $20 in your checking account. And I learned in the field that people today spend money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress others they don't even like in the first place. So get straight with money. I'm going to have a long relationship with money for the rest of my life, as will you. Why don't you and money have an amiable relationship? Okay? Don't fight. You and money get straight. So I learned that lesson big time in the field. The second lesson, I call it the people lesson. And so this might be a good time for Gary to put earmuffs on for a second. But you guys know as well as I do, most people, you could probably admit, are nice. Okay? If we just surveyed people after this conference on the street, most people are nice. But as you know as well as I do, there are some not so nice people out there. Agreed? And I was always surprised that you get some mean people at the door. I know exactly where they live. Okay? They have no idea what kind of criminal or soon-to-be criminal is at their door. And so a lot of times I think to myself as I get some of these mean people, I'm like, you know, I could come by at midnight, throw a rock right through the front. That's right. Wherever Gary is, earmuffs, please. I don't want you to hear this. I could throw a rock through your front window, and you'd probably be cussing and swearing, and you'd have no idea who did that because you're probably so mean to everybody you come across. You wouldn't know it's me, the coupon sales guy that did it. It might be the mailman. Who knows? So anyway, I remember a day, and we always know what the meanness sounds like going residentially because I heard this boom, boom, boom coming to the door. It's either a herd of elephants coming to the door or somebody's in a really bad mood about to open this door. And this woman opens the door, and she just starts cussing me out. Now, this particular day, I happen to have just a low tolerance for her. I just had a low tolerance. Snickers has a commercial, you're truly not yourself when you're hungry. It must have been right before lunch, and I wasn't going to put up with her. And I said, ma'am, Here's my second poop reference, I'm sorry. I'm like, ma'am, it's not like I just took a poop on your front lawn and this is why you should treat me the way I am. I'm just this innocent guy trying to help you out. Cut me some slack. This is what I said to her, okay? And she said, well, I just found out my sister died. Oh, I'm sorry. She goes, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't treat you like that. I'm like, ma'am, you can just go back inside your house. You can grieve. I can always come back. No, what are you doing? It was one of the most awkward. I'm trying to backpedal, and she's pulling the coupon out of my hand. I'm proud to say I made the sale. I made the transaction, okay? I wanted out of it. I just wanted the no. Just give me the no. Stay mean. I'll at least feel okay. I felt like such a jerk that I called her out, and she like, you know what? I shouldn't treat you like that. And anyway, weird sale. That lesson I learned that only hurt people hurt people. Okay? People project to the outside world what's really happening on the inside. So don't take things personally. You just happen to be on the receiving end of their negativity. Try to be empathic. Try to love people no matter how dysfunctional they are. And you do not have, it doesn't say in our 8 steps, maintain other people's attitudes. You own your attitude. You are not a victim. And only hurt people. Try to have some empathy. That was my second lesson. The third and final one I have for you guys, I call it a crystal ball lesson, if you will. This was one of those tougher days in the field, and I literally, I didn't have the courage to get out of the car. And I'm sure you guys have heard this saying before, the hardest door to open is the car door. Yeah, it's the hardest door to get open sometimes. And this particular day, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the courage. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to think big picture stuff. And so I decided I'm going to quit. This is it. I'm out. Now, I was smart enough to know earlier I had tried to quit at the end of the day, and there's all these people ringing bells and being all positive and stuff, and, I forgot to quit, okay? So this time, the day just started. There's no positive anybody around that office. It's just going to be one-on-one with the owner, so I think I got this, okay? I'm in the car, and I'm rehearsing the conversation. I'm like, so what's the conversation going to go like? I mean, I already know I'm going to hear, hey, listen, Jamie, winners never quit and quitters never win. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm just not a winner, And so it's going to be an awkward conversation, but it's only 10 minutes. It's going to come to an end, and then it's done. So I felt pretty good about how that conversation was going to go. And then I said, okay, well, what's next? Okay? So before I go do this, let me just think of what's going to happen after. Well, after I need to get busy. I need to get to work. Well, don't let this opportunity that you had be a waste of your time. Like, have you learned any lessons from this crazy business? Like, what have you learned? Why are you so, against this? I'm like, okay, so let's make sure before I go into my next gig, I pulled some valuable lessons from this. So, obviously, lesson number 1 that I'm thinking is, I don't want any gig that's going to be 80 hours a week. These guys are working me to the bone. I'm working 6 days a week. I'm not watching any primetime television. I'm not hanging out with my old buddies. I don't want to be working 80 hours a week anymore. I want something around 40 hours a week. I want something normal. This commission thing. I know commission means there's an opportunity and an upside. I just ain't seeing it. This is not a fruitful situation for me. I want something hourly. I want something salary. I do not want to be working in a performance-driven culture anymore. Oh, and what else? I want to do something I'm passionate about. I want to do something I love to do. I don't want to deal with rejection. I don't want to deal with hard stuff. I want to do something I actually like doing. Okay, so just a quick recap. So I want to work 40 hours a week. I want to get paid an hourly salary, and I want to do something easy. I'm going to be poor. I'm going to be poor. I have found the secret sauce. I have come across the secret sauce of how to be poor. I've knocked on their doors. Can I really admit that that I got to give up on this crazy ambition. I don't know if I'm ready to give up on dreaming. There was an old movie I saw as a teenager, which I'm sure none of you have seen. It's called The Billionaires Boys Club. It's one of those movies, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street, whatever. It's all these young hustlers making all this money. And I remember this scene, and I was thinking of this, in this moment, that there was an investor being walked through the floor of this firm, and he asked the founder, he says, gee, everybody in this company is so young. He says, why is that? And the founder says, well, we don't hire anybody over the age of 25. Because we find at 25, that's when people trade their dreams in for security. Now, I don't know if that's a true statement with the age of like 25. But I do think there's an element of that in everybody's life that at some point in time, you kind of do settle and you sort of lose the dreams. Like little kids don't have ambitions to claw their way into middle management. So I'd love to tell you the way this story came to an end, that I had this, epiphany. I kicked the door open. I was Captain Underpants and tra-la-la, and I go flying through the territory, and I'm just like, oh, sir, you are so lucky to have me at your door, and you need this. I mean, that would be a lie if I told you that's how the story went. Instead, I opened the car door. I slithered my way to the first door. I'm like, hey, ma'am, you're probably not interested, but no, not interested, go figure. Hello, sir, how you doing? Your neighbor's not interested. You're probably not, you're not interested as well, too. And I had a miserable day. But I didn't quit. I kept dreaming. So my lesson is keep dreaming. Design and visualize the life you want. Go after it. Don't sell out. Don't sell out your dreams for the short-term sugar highs of comfort. So in Canada, I really believe we have amazing leadership. And to what all the Americans are saying, it's a real treat for us coming up here. The conference in Houston might have been, 1,200, 1,300 people. This is obviously a little smaller, but the energy feels the same. Kind of like the VIPs were as loud as everybody else. Canada feels the same. Such nice people, such sharp people. I mean, we're listening to the panels. I was telling Luke, I'm like, man, that Anso she's legit. I mean, there's a lot of legit people here. You've got amazing people here. You've got the leadership with Luke, John Black, Lalo, Giselle, the Sidcor support team. We need to lean on each other here. We need to grow together. We need to commit to excellence and commit to the entrepreneurial spirit. So surely, if a prairie chicken from Humboldt, Saskatchewan can go down to the U.S. and play a hand in creating a multi-million-dollar business in the U.S., there must be a good chunk of people here that can do something much bigger around the world. Canada is the portal to expanding through the British Commonwealth. I think you guys know that. Let's think big, let's walk big, let's get after it. Have a bonne nuit. That's it.